Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today in this session I'm going to cover that how we are going to create customized sequence number in MongoDB application. Basically, while we are working any application with the Spring Boot, let's say we are working with the Spring Boot and the MongoDB application, then basically we are doing some kind of database related activities. Means we are going to insert some few data into database, pulling the data, but while we are inserting data into this document, then we need to maintain the primary key of that particular table. So in case of MySQL, if you're using, then we can use some sequence or maybe some auto-generated IDs, which is basically maintained by the MySQL or maybe Oracle. But in MongoDB, basically they're storing or creating these IDs basically in something defined way, which is not the human friendly. Means it's not easy to remember for us because it's a complex thing. I'll show you that how it will look like. Okay, but here I'm going to we are going to trying to solve this issue, that how we are going to generate our customized sequence number while we are inserting data for particular table. Means we are going to maintain our customized sequence number for that table. How we are going to doing that basically I'm going to cover in this tutorial. So by default, basically MongoDB uses object IDs for document IDs. They are unique, but those, as I said, those are not human friendly. So today in this tutorial we are going to build a system for auto incrementing numeric IDs using Spring Boot, just like SQL primary keys. Even it's also a thread safe way, means multi-thread applications also we can use it. Basically MongoDB doesn't support auto increment IDs like SQL, but we are going to fix that issues. In this guide you will learn how to create sequential IDs in Spring Boot using custom sequence generator. So if we want to begin with this application, so first of all we need to create a sequence, means the database sequence we are going to create here. So how the database sequence looks like, so let me add this model over here. So this is the database sequence. Okay, if you see over here, we have provided the name as counters, then we have provided this ID, this is the auto incremented IDs, and then sequence, and then getter and setter. So now basically we are going to generate the customized ID here, right? Okay, now after that what we are going to do, so here basically this ID, it will basically hold the sequence name. Let's say we are going to generate the sequence for product table, so then the ID will be product sequence. If we are going to generate the sequence for order tables, then the sequence name will be the order underscore sequence, and the sequence will be the long number. It will be start from the 1 to means any number, right? Next we are going to build the sequence generator service. This service generate the next sequence number. For that we are going to use Mongo operations and find and modify for atomic updates. So let's write this method. Okay, so for that, as I said, we are going to, okay, before that also let's create one product document, right? Product which will basically where we are going to storing that particular information. So here basically we are going to creating this product document. Okay, here also we can create this ID and name. So this will basically storing the product related information. Then we are going to create one repository, let's say product repository. Next we are going to generate the service. So here basically let's say create one service layer. Here create one class, new class will be this sequence generator service. So here basically we are going to write the main logic. So at the rate service annotation. So let me first of all write the logic over here, and then I am going to explain that what we are going to trying to achieve over here. So first of all, as I said, we are going to use this Mongo operations over here. Then we are going to create this one method, generate sequence, and here basically it will take one sequence name as an input. So whatever the sequence name we are going to pass over here, based on that it will generate the sequence. So database sequence, so that model we have already created, right? Then we can write like counter equals to Mongo operations dot find and modify. Then we are going to pass the details. Okay, so here we are going to write the logic. First of all, query dot query, then criteria dot where underscore ID. Here we are going to matching this with the sequence name. Okay, then we are going to update this, new update, then increment this sequence with 1. This is another parameter, and then third parameter will be find and modify option dot options dot return new true dot upsert true. Okay, comma, then we need to pass this class database sequence dot class. So this is the overall implementation. Now we are going to return this counter. If let's say counter if not equals to null, then return counter dot get sequence, or else default will return 1. So this is the like main logic basically. Okay, so so this is the basically main logic for generating the sequence. So what basically we are doing over here, so let's break this thing. So first of all, we have annotating this class as a service so that we can use it from the another any other Spring component. This Mongo operations is a part of Spring Data MongoDB. So why we use this one? Basically it's allow us to interact with the MongoDB like low level interactions, as we are doing some kind of thread shape or maybe auto increment kind of. So we need to interact with the low level features from the MongoDB. This is needed here because Spring Data repositories doesn't support atomic update operations like find and modify directly. So that's why we have used this Mongo operations. Okay, so we use it to safely increment a value in MongoDB. Next, this method, as you can see, this is taken this sequence name, means this method generate the next number in a named sequence. So whatever the sequence name will be, it will generate the next sequence number over here. Then like this find and modify is the Mongo equivalent of this find a record, modify it and return the updated version, all in one atomic operations. So because we need to also maintain the uniqueness, as we are going to support the thread shape, so that's why this method will find and also we modify the value, so that's why we have used this find and modify. Now if we talked about this ID, so it will basically searches the database sequence collection for this document with underscore ID with this sequence name. If it exists, we'll modify it. If not, it will create in the next step. And the other one, this new update, so it will basically increment the sequence field by 1, and this here MongoDB basically ensure this happens automatically. No two threads can get the same number, right? And this one, this find and modify options, basically it will returns new the true, means it will basically return the update document after the increment. If the document doesn't exist yet, it will basically create it. This upsert means it will, okay, upsert means if it is exist, then it will return the same. If not, then it will basically return create one. And finally we are using this class, so this will result is mapped into a database sequence object, your custom Java class for holding the underscore ID and the sequence. Okay, so this is this overall this sequence generation the things. Okay, so this is basically tracks like this sequence number per entity or purpose. Okay, it is also a thread shape and atomic, so that like this find and modify, that's why we are using, so that atomicity is the maintained, uniqueness will be maintained. Okay, now basically what we are going to do over here, we just need to run this application and then we will see. So for that basically we are going to use this command line runner, right? And then also we are going to, let me create one runner class over here, class runner. We need to annotate this class with component. We need to implement command line runner. Okay, so once we have implemented this, that means we need to override the run method, correct? Okay, here basically what we are going to use this, first of all we need to use this sequence generator service, right, to generate the number, and then we are going to call this sequence number generator. We can capture this, or maybe we can also use the product repository, because after generating the sequence number we need to store the data in a product table. Okay, so let's use this product repository. We can create something like this. Let me add here product. Okay, long id equals to this, and let's say it's a 0. Okay, so what basically we are doing, so we have used this product insert runner. So whenever we are going to start this application, the runner will start and it will generate the sequence number with this product underscore sequence, because we are going to use this sequence number for this product. Now we have created one product entities over here with, here this is the ID we are passing and this is the name. Like here if you see, this is the ID and the name, the two things we are passing over here. So now here this will be the ID and this will be the name. Then finally we are saving the details over here. Okay, so now let's run this application and see how it is working. So for that basically we need to install the Mongo database into your local, and then we need to start our MongoDB into your local so that we can check it, or while inserting data then we can see from the database also that how it is look like. So basically I have started this MongoDB in my local. If you see, this is the temporary database that I have created. Now here if you see, these 3 tables by default is inserted for this MyDB. Now here if you see this properties file, we have created this database sequence underscore demo, where we are using this database. Okay, so now like we need to start this application. let's start and see how it is it working fine or not. So once the application will basically start, then it will run this one, and then it will insert one record into the product table. If everything's will fine, then it will basically do the things for us. So if you see, MongoDB is connected. Okay, now if you see that this is printed like inserted 1, this means ID got generated, and also its name is product 0. Now if you see over here, just we need to refresh it. Now you can see that sequence demo is generated, right? So under that, this is the one database got created here. This is the counters. So for counters, we are having the sequence name is product underscore sequence, and the sequence is 1. For the product, this record basically inserted ID is 1, so this is the custom ID, right? And this is the product -0. But let's say if we are not going to use this auto generated ID, then means if we are not going to use this custom generated ID, then how it will be look like? If we not use this ID, then let's say here we can create another constructor which will take the name. Okay, now here. Okay, now let's see that how. Let's start this one. Then basically we have not used this custom generated ID, so here we are just only setting the names, so it will basically default insert the auto generated ID. Let refresh it. Yeah, so now actually ID is generated 0. Let's see. Let remove this one from over here, and then product dot set name equals to test product. Okay, now start this one. I just wanted to see you like how if we not using this custom generated one, then how it is look like. Okay, so what it is saying, write operation is failed, duplicate key. Okay, maybe it's taking the ID as 0. Okay, let's see. So why it is not working? So because that ID is here, we are using the long. Okay, so we need to use, instead of long, we are going to use as a string. So let modify everywhere where it is needed, this and also here also. Okay, now hopefully it will be fine. And then also like this is fine, runner, this is fine, because this auto generated IDs, let now run this application, so it will basically insert the ID whatever it is. It's not a long, okay, it's a basically string. So now if you see that this is the generated IDs. Okay, now if we go over there and then refresh it, so if you see this ID got generated. So if you are not going to use this long, then it will be generated something like that. Okay, so in this way basically, even if you see, it is very hard to remember, right? It's not a kind of human friendly. So that's why this ID basically we need to generate over here, and we can insert into the database. So in this way basically, even also it's a thread shape. If we want to like check that if it is a thread in multi-thread it is working or not, so for that basically we can also check for checking that. Okay, let's say here product dot set ID equals to ID underscore plus this auto generated ID. Okay, so now we are going to use this as a string instead of long. Okay, that also we can do. So id, and then we are going to means we can append anything over here. We can also use this. Okay, now we are going to use it as a multi-thread. How we are going to doing that? We are going to use this like this multi-thread executor service to run it in a multi-thread. So use this executor service. Okay, executor. So let's say there's a 20 thread count. So either instead of creating new variable, okay, now 20 thread we are using. So now we are going to use this for loop. Let's say this one. Then here final index we are taking one here, and then executor dot submit okay, and here we need to place a semicolon. Okay, now under this service basically we need to move this sequence and this saving. All this operation we need to move over here, and we can also move this. Okay, so it will what it will do basically, we have created this this index. Basically we need to add over here product plus this index, so that we can understand that it will be how many times it's got generated. Okay, okay, so what it will do, it will basically 20 thread will run, and it will insert data basically in a 100 times, and we can also see that is it generating the duplicate or not. Let's run this application. So we have started the application and see is it working fine or not. So it's got generated 100 times. Okay, now let's refresh this one. So if you see it's got generated, and now it's actually 100 data. So here if you see 1045, so if you see there is a no duplicate. Okay, all are unique, there is a no duplicate. Okay, so that means what we have checked, we have generated our custom sequence ID instead of this auto generated ID. We have used our own custom generate ID in this MongoDB, and it is working fine in a simple one as well as in a multi environment application. So this is actually about this one, that how we are going to use our own custom IDs if needed in our application. So this is the very simplest application, that in this way basically we can generate our own custom generated IDs instead of auto generated IDs for Mongo database. This is all about this one application. If you guys still have anything, please do let me know in the comment section. Thanks for your time. See you in my next videos. Bye bye.